Okay, hello all, it's Anni here, your caffeine-free coach. And if you are new to my channel is all about supporting caffeine quitters in their own healing journey. And I wanna bring all the information about this very underestimated drug that many of us have been using years and years. And in this video, what I'm going to show you today, it's all about those post-acute withdrawal symptoms that many of us have been going through after acute withdrawals are over. Brain and body still continues healing. And many people are not aware about these post-acute withdrawal symptoms, and especially caffeine withdrawals and post-acute withdrawals are not so well known. So that kind of information I wanna put out in my channel. And if you have been following my channel, I have been sharing my own recovery journey. I have been updating my journey and putting all the symptoms out there. But I also wanna share this kind of information, what I'm going to show you now in this video, that I like very much, and it can help you to understand about these symptoms a little bit better and what is going on in the brain and what is going on with those neurotransmitters. So I hope you enjoy this, and maybe many of you already have seen in this video about this amazing woman, Dr. Snipes' amazing channel that she have. So let's see. I'm just gonna play it a little bit for you.
When people get out of detox, they are not recovered. Their brain has undergone all kinds of changes. Substance abuse causes systemic inflammation and alterations in neurocircuitry, which are almost never resolved during detoxification. What your body has adapted to over the course of 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, it's not going to reverse in 3 days or 3 weeks. It's important to recognize that the body became used to having this influx of this substance and is adapted to it. So without it, the person may feel flat. For example, with opioids, a lot of people in the post-acute withdrawal time frame experience more aches and pains because the body takes time to ramp up its production of internal painkillers again. Their endogenous opioids take a while to get back online, if you will. Dopamine, for example, when people abuse just about any substance, dopamine surges. So the body gets used to having these high levels of dopamine. And when the body is not experiencing that, the person may feel flat and exhausted and apathetic. And that will eventually turn the corner as the body recognizes, hey, there's not going to be a tsunami of dopamine again, so we can be more receptive to any dopamine that comes our way. We don't have to guard against it. We can actually embrace it when it comes.
Yes, and also when I see people going through these post-acute withdrawals after caffeine abuse, like I have been also going through, the dopamine stuff is really huge. Like many of us, we feel so low dopamine and so much that anhedonia, depression, low mood. So just know it's normal. It's all about the healing, brain healing, and with time you will get your motivation back and anhedonia will go away.
The body must heal from the toxins that have been ingested, the oxidative stress, and that can come not only from the toxins and the inflammation, but from disrupted circadian rhythms, from mental stress itself, from a lot of different things. Any kind of stress on the body produces oxidative stress. The microbiome has to rebalance. We know that when we're under stress, physical or psychological, the gut microbiome is altered in order to support fight or flee, in order to support that HPA axis. And as the body heals, the microbiome needs to rebalance to be able to be more relaxed, if you will, where it's not constantly fighting off threats and fighting off toxins. The brain must heal. There's a part of the brain, and sometimes multiple parts of the brain, that actually are killed off. We see shrinkage in the density of the brain in people who have addictions.
And this is something that I'm now very interested about, all about brain healing, because as we know, caffeine kills those cells in the brain, and it affects all the parts of the brain and how our right and left side of the brain communicate. So it stops that communication. That's why with time it will change how we are going to think and behave, and even it's affecting our movement and learning skills and everything. Basically it affects everything, but because it's so sneaky drug that happens with time, and many of us who have been in the drug years and years, like it just happens so sneaky way, and the Dr. Snipes will explain that also, and she's also speaking about caffeine on a part of this video, but just pay attention.
They recover, we see something called neurogenesis, where some of these places, like the hippocampus, start to heal and start to regenerate those neurons, but it takes time. The neurotransmitters have to rebalance. The body has gotten used to having, oodles and oodles of dopamine, which also means a lot of serotonin and norepinephrine. And now that that is not being artificially inflated, the body must adjust. The neurotransmitters must rebalance in order to support a more moderate lifestyle. And the nervous system, including the vagus nerve, has to recalibrate. A lot of substances basically hijack the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is our traffic cop, if you want to think about it that way. It has its grimy little mitts in just about everything. And it controls, or helps to control, it relays signals to the brain to let us know when there's time to be stressed and when it's time to relax. Well, substances, if you take stimulant substances, that's going to hijack the vagus nerve and say, hey, we need to stay in stress mode. If you're taking...
And that's what we also see in post-acute withdrawal journey. What we also have been experiencing, many of us, that we are in constant that high stress state, because the brain healing also will cause that anxiety, and the anxiety for many of us is the biggest symptom while we are on the drug, but also it's the biggest symptom, many of us, when we are detoxing and having these post-acute withdrawal symptoms.
Depressant type substances, that's going to hijack this vagus nerve and say, hey, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about anything. So the vagus nerve loses its attention to what's going on, because it's kind of a lot more responsive to the substances themselves. In terms of acute withdrawal, the time frame for most people is for alcohol 5 to 7 days, for benzos like Valium and Xanax between 1 to 4 weeks, or 3 to 5 weeks with tapering. For cannabis, 5 days. Nicotine, 2 to 4 weeks. Opioids, 4 to 10 days, or longer if you're using something like methadone or Suboxone. And stimulants, generally 1 to 2 weeks. Anybody who's been addicted to these substances knows that...
But with caffeine, what I have been seeing and experiencing, even the detox state, it's much, much more longer. So just just my experience and what I have been seeing.
After that period of time, they're still not feeling great, which means they're still at high risk of relapse because at a certain point, you want to feel better. Post-acute withdrawal. The signs and symptoms of post-acute withdrawal from alcohol, for example, may last 2 years or longer.
So there you go. 2 years or longer. Not with everyone, of course, but some of us, it's the case. That's how it goes.
After the last use of alcohol. Alcohol is really hard on the body. Sleep studies using polysomnograph recordings found that sleep abnormality.
And even she's now talking about alcohol, this can be very, very it's very same with caffeine and any other hard drug.
Including difficulty falling or staying asleep and sleep apnea can persist for 1 to 3 years after stopping alcohol consumption. And if you've watched any of my other videos on the YouTube channel, you're aware of how integral the good quality sleep is in mental health, as well as regulated circadian rhythms.
Just know that insomnia is very normal in this. It comes and goes. Sometimes you can have periods that you sleep better, like even weeks or months, and then insomnia can come back, and that's annoying, but it's very normal part of this post-acute withdrawal symptom process, and it's how your brain is trying to catch up and trying to go in that homeostasis. So don't worry, guys, insomnia will go with time.
If either one or both of these is out of whack, it is going to make it a lot harder to feel happy, to feel healthy, to feel energetic. Opioid withdrawal symptoms can last for months after acute detoxification. And this is one of my pet peeves, if you will, of rapid detox, because a lot of rapid detox places tell people when you wake up, the opioids will be out of your system and you'll feel great. You just need to go to counseling to learn some tools to cope with stress. That ain't it. That ain't it. When people...
Yes, that ain't it, guys. It's just not underlying issues or trying to fix your life or something. This is the real thing, real issue. Of course, then what the normal life brings you and traumas and stuff, that's another case. But now we are talking about these post-acute withdrawal symptoms when your brain is healing after addiction, abuse, after drug abuse.
Finish acute detox. Yes, they need to learn tools to deal with stress, but they need to recognize they are not going to be back to their old selves for a long time. They need to know this. They need to be prepared to deal with post-acute withdrawal symptoms. During this post-acute phase, people who are withdrawing from opioids may experience anxiety, depression, anhedonia. That is a loss of pleasure and just not having feelings about much of anything. Low energy, lack of motivation, and sleep disturbances.
All of these are symptoms of caffeine post-acute withdrawals. All of these I have experienced and many of us will experience. Very normal again.
Now, again, lots of videos on the YouTube channel that can trace this back to certain neurotransmitters and the effects of addiction. But what's important in the takeaway here is for people who've abused opioids for a significant period of time, these symptoms may occur sporadically for the next up to 2, maybe even 3 years.
There it was. So now it's gonna be there more and more. They say even up till 3 years. So that's really good that the information is getting out there more and more. Slowly but surely. Slowly but surely.
And that is really hard to wrap your head around. Now, with post-acute withdrawal, one of the things that I think is important in order to maintain hope and motivation is the fact that it gets easier with time, just like grief. Initially, after you experience a loss, that grief is palpable. That grief is hard to deal with. But as you get further away from that loss, you may have occasional grief bursts where something hits you and you suddenly become melancholy. But the intensity, the duration, and the frequency of those symptoms goes down significantly. And
yes, with time, all those symptoms will go away. Remember that. Hi, lady. Hi. So don't worry, guys.
the same thing is true for post-acute withdrawal. And it's important that we let people know that it will get better. And it's important for a lot of people to keep a log so they can see those incremental improvements in their energy levels, in their mood, in their motivation. With benzodiazepines, these are your Valium, your Xanax, your anti-anxiety medications. Clients may have no symptoms for a time after initial detox and then suddenly become extremely anxious. These fluctuating symptoms may last for months, but gradually subside with prolonged abstinence.
What I also have been seeing when I have been speaking with people in this recovery journey is also that some people, they do have some symptoms like later in the journey than other ones can have the same symptoms like different parts in the journey. So just keep that in mind. Like sometimes I heard some people say that they maybe have something in the beginning, then they feel like better, they thought that they are healed, and then they are, oh my god, Anni, depression is back, like anxiety is back, it hits me like a train, and that also did happen to me. So just keep that in mind, that this is all recovering, and that's how the brain heals. It's not linear, the process, it's ups and downs. So it can be that you have even long period of time when you feel good, and then your brain still needs more that healing, so you're gonna hit the wave. And these windows and waves are something that me and Mandy also have been speaking about, and what we are going to speak more about also, because we wanna educate and give more information about this. And remember also, everything that I'm sharing is also my own experience and what I have been learning in this journey. So thank you.
Things that is interesting is that there are a lot of substances, including cannabis and opioids, that are lipophilic. They are stored in fat tissue. So think about that. If you lose weight and that fat gets metabolized, it's possible that it may release trace amounts. Now, sometimes this is not enough to really even notice. Just like when you use a substance like caffeine, for example, and when you first use it, you can feel the effects. But then after it's been in your system for a while, you don't hardly notice it anymore. And a lot of times we talk about half-life. So when the substance is fully in your system, you may feel the effects. But once you get past that half-life, a lot of times these symptoms and the effects of it are not super noticeable.
Yeah, and with the long addiction, that's what happens also with caffeine. Like many of us who were caffeinated like years and years, it's just like we just needed to have that drug to function normally. We didn't have like any specific highs anymore. I didn't even remember that, like, because I was in the drugs in childhood. So we just needed the drug to function in some level, which of course is not the optimal level, which I hope that we all will eventually, like, we will catch that, and I also will catch that when I'm 100%, but I'm getting close to that. But I just want to remind you that that's why it can be that many people are wondering, like, yeah, I was functional with caffeine, like we many are, and like that was normal to us, and we never even didn't doubt that caffeine can be such a horrible drug, because it was so normal and so long time. And like I said, it's a sneaky drug, changing our brain chemistry slowly but very surely.
And so it's important to recognize that people can still have cannabis, benzos, alcohol, well, not so much alcohol, in their system, but not have the intense acute effects. It's not like they suddenly wake up and they're like, ooh, I feel like I just had a dose. In general, and this depends on the person's physiological makeup, their co-occurring mental health issues, as well as the substance they were using, but possible symptoms of protracted withdrawal or post-acute withdrawal syndrome include anxiety, sleep difficulties, problems with short-term memory, persistent fatigue, difficulty concentrating and making decisions, alcohol or drug cravings, impaired executive control. Executive control is attention, concentration, problem solving. So people who are experiencing PAWS or post-acute withdrawal may have more difficulty. They may seem a little bit more addled than they used to until their brain heals. Anhedonia.
And then you feel like a child again, like many people will say. And that's what I have been feeling also.
That lack of feeling about much of anything. Definitely difficulty experiencing pleasure.
Yes, that's a huge one. And with that anhedonia, it's very common in this, so don't worry, guys. It will pass.
Difficulty focusing, dysphoria or depression, irritability, unexplained physical complaints, and reduced interest in sex. Well, where does that sex one come from? When the body is going through post-acute withdrawal, it is under stress. When the body's under stress, a lot of times when the body's under stress anytime, the gonadal hormones, the HPG axis, the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, is involved. But to kind of shortcut this explanation, when the body's under stress, a lot of times the brain says, you know what? We don't have the energy reserves to focus on sex, on procreation right now. And you know what? If there's a threat out there, it may not be the right time to bring another life into the world. For more information, you can watch my long video on post-acute withdrawal syndrome at allceus.com/pause.
Yes, so that was what I did want to show you. I think there did come a lot of good information about PAWS if you are new to the PAWS. And tomorrow I will do live with Mandy, and I will put info in Discord what time we're gonna start tomorrow. So we're gonna speak more about this caffeine recovery journey, and we always try to share something new and always speak about our own experience and from that perspective what we have been learning. So I really hope this gonna help you, whoever needs to hear this information, and just know that you will be okay and all is good. You are healing, your body knows what to do, your brain knows what to do, and fatigue also will go away, guys. I know that's also the very common symptom. Post-acute withdrawal symptom is like first that very heavy, extreme fatigue, like extreme that you hardly can go through your days. And with anxiety it's hard, but then it turns a little bit more milder, and then it kind of turns for many of us tiredness. And then I'm right there that I have some tiredness still, and then some point with everyone tiredness also goes completely away. But remember, we all are in this journey in our own timelines. So just remember that what I'm sharing here is my timeline, and what Mandy is sharing is her timeline. So don't get discouraged. It's just very important to me that we hear more and more these stories, and hopefully we will in this channel hear more people sharing also their recovery stories. So yes, I don't have any more for today. I hope you a very good day or evening or morning, whatever time there it is. Here it's almost 8 o'clock. So see you guys, and just keep going and doing that amazing work that you are doing, just being and letting your body and brain recover.